Hey everybody, welcome to Jackson at the Movies, where we talk about movies all day. With me, I have a very, very special guest, a good friend of mine from high school, a good filmmaker, Seth Oris. Seth,
Ooh,
how are you
I
doing?
like the sound of that. Thank you. I'm doing good. Glad to be here at Jackson at the movies. Doing good. How are you?
Oh man, I'm doing really good as well. I'm very excited. I'm very excited about today because uh, we're gonna be talking about a bunch of stuff, aren't we? Huh?
Yes, a few things,
A
at
few things
least.
mostly.
At least
Yeah.
a few things.
So, so we saw I saw two movies this weekend. We're going to be talking about Free Fire and Colossal. First, we're going to be talking about Free Fire. This is one that me and Seth we went to see it last
Saw it
weekend.
together.
Were you excited to see this movie?
I was very excited. It was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. For a long time. I saw the trailer about halfway through last year, and ever since then, had wanted to see nothing more than this movie.
I
And
agree.
I guess we'll figure out if it was worth the wait.
You're right. And I was too excited for this one too. I think I saw the trailer last year. It looked really awesome. One of the things that got me interested was that the trailer said that Martin Scorsese was the executive producer, which that got me thinking. Oh my gosh, a movie that Martin Scorsese is promoting and what he's recommending as a really good movie. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
So
I felt the same way when I saw that because I mean you see Scorsese, he produces a few different things, a lot of documentaries, a lot of different stuff, but he you don't really see him produce a lot of movies like this, like sort of small indie movies. Um, and yeah, I was excited to see it. A lot of it was because of Scorsese.
yeah. So, first, I'll talk about the synopsis for a little bit, in case if you guys don't know what the movie's about. Basically, the movie's about is it like a group of criminals or
Um,
people? They're buying guns from this
so
guy.
it's about. Okay, one sec. Sorry, I know what it's about, but so here's the quick synopsis. It's set in Boston in 1978, so in the 70s. It's pretty much a meeting in a warehouse
Mm.
between two kind of different groups, two gangs. Um, they're selling and buying guns, and stuff pretty much shit hits the fan, and it turns into a big shootout for an hour and a half.
Only a big shootout.
Big shootout, yeah.
So, so since we saw the movie, we'll have thoughts. Seth, I'm gonna let you go first. What did you think of Free Fire?
Free Fire, in my opinion, was as yeah, it's as good as you can get without being great.
Mm,
Um, entertainment wise,
yeah.
it's as mediocre as you can get without being good
Mm,
as a movie, in my opinion. Um, Now that's not saying this movie's not good because it has a lot of things to its credit. I have not had that much fun in a theater in a long time. Um, Seeing Free Fire, yeah, completely just a fun romp, fun hour and a half of my life. Um, Great performances, great direction, great, shot choice a lot of the time, and just a lot of fun. But there was a lot of things about it that I was not a big fan of that I'm sure we'll get into.
mm.
But how about you? What were your general
Well,
thoughts on it?
the the first time when I saw it, it was it was kind of a movie I was hoping for. I mean, I got what I got from the trailers. Basically, a big shootout movie. It's like it's one of those movies where like you got what you wanted, but at the same time you kind of had like this sort of feeling in your head like I kind of wanted a little bit more from it. I mean, yes, this is exactly what I wanted to see and everything, but like I was hoping the movie would probably give something that I didn't know that I want or something.
Hmm.
Which basically it is what it is. It's an entertaining fun, and I mean really fun. Like it's funny. There's lots of really cool shots and really neat action scenes, but it didn't leave me going, oh my god, that's a masterpiece. it just kind of left. I kind of left the theater like it was fun.
Yes,
It was
I was
fun.
exactly the same way. Me and you, we had a lot of fun.
Mm,
We both laughed a ton in the movie.
yeah.
You know, it's a really good movie. If you just want to go to the theater, chomp on some popcorn, you know, get a soda or whatever,
Mm.
and just have a ton of fun,
Yeah. This
then
is.
go see this movie immediately. And I think even if you're not wanting to just see a fun movie, I would say in the next few weeks, go see this movie because I mean, there's not much coming out until Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2
Yeah.
in terms of what I would consider like movies I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
And Free Fire, I mean, so it was directed by Ben Wheatley,
Mm.
who has directed no other movies that I've seen, but
He did like Sightseers. I've heard of
yeah,
High Rise with Tom Hiddleston. But...
yeah. I mean, he did the ABCs of Death, and a few TV shows, a few TV episodes.
Mm.
So I didn't really know what to think going into this about if it was going to be well directed or not because I had never seen his work. But after seeing it, I can say that one thing I really liked about this movie, and I'll really like acknowledge, it's directed well.
I agree.
It feels very. You feel boxed in the entire movie. You feel like you can't leave. Pretty much you get into the warehouse about 10 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And you only get to see the outside of the warehouse once for the rest of the movie. The rest of it's in this small, isolated warehouse room.
I love those kind of movies. Like they don't really have like as much locations, but like you kind of get the whole thrill of the whole movie with just in one location or one area. I like some of those movies like 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, and like Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
The main inspiration I saw from this movie is if I was the director of it, I would say that it was very inspired by Tarantino's work. In terms of just the eerie feeling you kind of get just being like it almost got like halfway through I was like, oh Jesus, get me out of this fucking room, you know, like, but it was like trying to do that in a way, you know. It wasn't just like we're just going to put you in this warehouse and leave you there just because we can. It was like we're going to put you in this warehouse, we're going to leave you there because we can, of course, and because we will, and because we're going to.
Yeah.
And I mean, can we just talk about Brie Larson for a second? Brie Larson is, I will say it, the greatest fucking actress in Hollywood.
Really?
She's okay. Well, I wouldn't. She is so good and everything. I mean, even
awesome.
she is. And in this movie, she is the only woman in this movie, and she outshines all the men.
I agree.
And
she's like the one actress or character that like kind of sticks out to me.
Oh yeah.
To this movie.
And I mean, well, also, I've got to shout out. I don't know how to say his name. Sharlto.
Sharlto Copley.
Yeah.
He was in the guy who was in District 9.
Yeah.
Elysium.
He played Vernon was his character's name, and this dude's funny as fuck. Like, it's no joke how funny this guy is. I laughed a ton during this movie, and at least 95% of it was because of this guy.
I agree. Armie Hammer was also...
Armie Hammer, yes. Okay, so
he had like he played as like the charming, handsome.
Yeah.
Sort of
And
guy.
Armie Hammer, let me say this. So he was great in Social Network, as we all know, and then he kind of...
Oh yeah, he was in Social Network.
Yeah, and he's great.
Twins, right?
Yeah, he played as one of the twins.
Okay.
And then, and ever since then, he's just kind of gone down, just like, you know, kind of making sort of, you know, not very good movies, and he's not very good in them.
Yeah.
And I mean, he made The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which I personally do not think is good at all. I do not like that movie. I know a lot of people do, and I don't think you're wrong for liking it. I just am not a fan, of course. But I think he's back. Like, he is so good in this movie, and he has so much like going for him. He has so much swagger in a sense. Like,
he does.
He's just fun to watch. And there's a part he gets shot. It's in the trailer. He gets shot the first time, and he says, "Now we're cooking." And the way that part's directed mainly is why I love, like, that's my favorite, like, 3 seconds of the movie, is because Armie Hammer is so cool in it. Like, he's just like, he gets shot and he's just like, while everyone else like whines and complains when they get shot in this movie, he gets shot and he's just like, now we're cooking, now we're having fun. Like, it's so good. And I mean, I I just, yeah, I love him. I love Brie Larson. I
It's
love
great.
all of them. I think that the movie really, like, honestly, if I was giving it a grade, like, just based on everything, like, in terms of, like, if it's a good movie, if I
Mhm.
like the movie, if it's an enjoyable movie, I'd probably give it like a 80% out of 100.
I can see that.
Because if I was just basing it on how well I thought it was made, I'd probably give it probably around a 60, 65 to 60 to 65.
Ooh.
But I no, I thought the movie was so much fun.
It is so
And
much
I mean,
fun.
sometimes all you need is that summer movie,
Yeah.
because technically this is a summer movie, almost.
Almost.
Um, you need that summer movie where you can just buy a big thing of popcorn and just chomp on it and just watch a movie and enjoy it. And this is for those people who want that.
I agree. Like, I mean, what if you're looking for like a movie, say like, I mean, I can kind of see this a little bit like, say, Independence Day, where
Hmm.
like you could just watch it for the fun of it, and no matter what, you don't really get bored of it. Like every scene, you're always just kind of on the other edge of your seat and just
Yeah, yeah.
watching everything, and yeah, I agree. You get into a lot of the fun of this movie. I also like the. I gotta give the filmmakers so much credit with the production design. Like,
Oh yeah.
whenever I see movies that, like, if they take place, like, let's say, I mean, there's another movie which Brie Larson was in that took place in the '70s, Kong Skull Island,
Hmm.
where
Yeah.
the I feel like in this movie, this really actually feels like you're in the '70s, or at least like this
Oh
movie looks
yes.
like it was filmed in the
Hmm.
'70s.
Yes, yes. Um, Definitely. And talking about Kong Skull Island for a
Mm.
second. Now, there were a few things about that movie that I believed were in the 70s. They had like a few parts where they're in helicopters and they have old like film cameras and all this shit like that felt like you were in the 70s, but other than that, nothing points to the fact that it's in the 70s. Like there's parts in, where is the foreign country they're in when they're first meeting Tom Hiddleston,
I think it's like Indonesia or
or
something.
Korea or somewhere. I think it's Korea because I think it's taken place. No, it's Vietnam, right? Because it's taken
Probably.
place during the Vietnam War, I think. Um, and it looks just like an old rundown Korean place or Vietnam place that you'd see today. Like it,
Mm.
it does not look different. But this movie, yes, you're right. Um, looks like it. The look of it looks like it's in the 70s. The feel of it is the 70s.
Yeah.
The things people are wearing are from the 70s. It's a good flashback. Um, like even the guns they use,
Yeah.
like 70s. And one thing about being in a warehouse for a full movie
Mhm.
is that can get boring to look at,
Right.
right? Like that can be boring, like
It could be.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But he kills it in the terms of he makes the warehouse exciting.
Mm.
Um and he makes the warehouse fun. Like yeah, I there were parts when I was like, man, I want to get out of this warehouse, but then like 2 to 3 minutes later, I'd just be struggling with it. But then he'd give me something to where I was like, okay, this is why we're in the warehouse. There's a
Right.
good reason. Um I yeah, I just gotta tip my hat to the guy for just everyone in the production, for the production design, everything.
Mm. I would say like I mean, this is personally me, but I feel like this movie could get like I know like it's so far away from Oscar season, but I can like definitely see this getting like best production design or
Oh yeah,
all
I'm
the
sure
way.
I'm sure they'll send out screeners. I'm
Yeah.
sure they'll have for your consideration screeners sent to people, and I mean, I could see why. There's a lot of things that to acknowledge here.
Yeah.
Um and I mean, so in my opinion, it being my most anticipated movie of the year, cuz really it was. I could not wait to see this movie.
Really.
Um I mean now, uh, so I would say most like indie film at least. Like most, like I wanted to see this movie. We'll talk most anticipated movies later.
Yeah.
But it was really like I say a bunch of good things about it, but it was a letdown.
A little bit.
There was
yeah.
a lot of stuff I did not like about this movie. I thought that it was really clunky at parts. It had way too many times when I wanted to get out of the warehouse for that 2 to 3 minutes that I'd be like, oh, Jesus. Oh, yeah, he made a joke. I laughed. Okay.
Okay.
Now, okay, and then he gives me the part where I like it. I'm like, okay. So about 30 to 40% of this movie, I was sitting there wanting to get out of this fucking place, wanting to just, be done almost. It's an hour and a half, the movie is, and for me at least, it felt way longer than an hour and a half.
Really?
Like, yeah, like it was fun. Like, I think the movie's so much fucking fun. But for the majority of it, I was just like, oh, I'm kind of sick of it, man. Like, I think flashy guns, flashy actors and actresses, and flashy everything is fun to a point.
Right.
But at a point, you kind of have to have. They have a lot of good one-liners, a lot of one-liners that don't stick. They're just sort of like, oh, thrown out. I'm like, okay, that was fine. I think that a lot of there's also a few performances in this movie that I just was like, that it was.
Most of those actors were like the ones we don't know. Like there was what's his name? Jack Reynor. Reynor? I probably pronounced his name wrong, but he was in Transformers: Age of Extinction. He was the boyfriend of Mark Campbell, or not Mark Campbell.
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg's daughter, and he was also in Sing Street. And then there was like some other guy. I can't remember all of them. I mean, some of them are Irish.
Yeah.
Some of the characters are not really that memorable. I mean, other than the actors, like,
that we
Brie
know.
Larson, that we know, obviously. But
Cillian Murphy, however the fuck you say his name, is great in it. Armie Hammer's great in it. Sharlto Copley, I don't know how to fucking say his name, is great in it. There's Michael Smiley is his name. He plays this character named Frank. He's like the leader of one of the gangs, and he is probably the worst written character.
I don't really remember
exactly. That's the problem. Is he's the leader of one of the gangs. He's supposed to be one of the leading men, and he's just awful.
Right.
And I'm not saying his performance is awful, but I'm saying the script, at least in his part, was awful in my opinion. His one-liners, whenever he said them, wouldn't stick. He was sort of just there. He almost got on my nerves a lot of the time because he was just like, I want my guns. Give me my guns. Like that's fine, but you got to have more to you than that,
Yeah. There's really not much to him, that's how I kind of feel about like with the writing with the characters or the whole story overall. Like it's just sort of like you're watching it and it's fun. It's fun to see like a bunch of shoot up in action, but then immediately I just kind of forgot you obviously know how the fight started, but there was really not much else going on other than try to kill this guy, try to kill this guy, try to kill this guy. Like this movie could work as a video game per se, but like as a movie, you don't really remember that much. Which that's why I was over the weekend. I was just sort of thinking like, what was the conflict?
Yeah, because you were high. You were high on this movie when we got out of the theater. You like, and I can understand why. It's like it's so much fun when you're in it, but then like, I even over the weekend I was just like hanging out, and I'm like, man, I don't even like. I'm not thinking about that movie right now because I don't care about it. I saw on Facebook, it was like one of my friends is watching Free Fire at like, I was like, oh, I saw that movie. It was good. It was like fun. It's a movie that I'll probably see again. And if a friend of mine, like if someone was like, hey, you want to go see Free Fire with me, or you want to like hang out and see a movie, I'd be down to see Free Fire. But it's not really.
It doesn't stick to you.
No, it's It's a movie that I would buy on DVD, or Blu-ray.
Either one.
But
I buy a VHS
yeah.
or Laserdisc.
Shut up. Okay.
There's gotta be some sort of a sketchy place that's like still selling Laserdiscs or VHSs.
That's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
But like, it's just not like it's good. Like it's a good movie and it's fun, and it feels like it's the 70s, and it feels like I can see why Martin Scorsese produced this movie.
Yeah.
It is a fucking Scorsese movie. If made a movie about the 70s today, and it was about a shootout in a warehouse, this feels like a Scorsese movie, just not as well made, you know.
Not really as well made. I mean, like, I think for some reason I can kind of see this as I mean, I haven't seen a lot of like, I've seen a couple of movies that felt a little grindhousey, or even some of the newer movies today. Did you? I had like could you see this as sort of like I wouldn't say total, like, this isn't a total exploitation movie, or it's bloody and people cuss, but that's like about it. But I can sort of see in it. Like, what would you say?
I didn't see anything like that. I didn't see it as a grindhouse movie at all or anything like that. But I mean,
I can kind of see it as that.
To each his own, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you saw it like that, that's great.
Like, I think this is like a movie what Martin or Quentin Tarantino, like, when, like, the back with the movies that they watch, it could be something like this, but not as tame.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Tarantino loves this movie if he's seen it, or if he will see it. I'm sure he'd love it. Just like, because it totally feels like him. I saw a lot of inspiration taken from him, taken from all these different sources. But yeah, overall, like, giving it a score, I'd give it a solid 80, 80 to 85. Cause there's enough for me to get me back in the theater. But it's really like, that's a hard 85. Like, that's hard for me to get there.
Right.
Like, the only reason I'd get back there is for the performances.
Yeah.
There's a few parts that I just really love. But other than that, it's just, it's pretty mediocre.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, if you guys just want to watch a movie for fun and all, and if you don't care about what's going on with the story, and you just want to grab your friends and all, or if the movie's at home or whatever, totally, I recommend it big time. But I wouldn't say it's the best. I wouldn't say it's up there in my top 10 favorite movies of the year.
No.
It's fun. That's about it. It's fun, and I kind of like hope a little bit more for a movie than just fun per se.
Yeah.
The way how I do my rating, I do grades. So I give this, like, maybe I'm going either towards a C plus or B minus. Probably B minus. Like, it's got enough.
So like about 80% is a B minus. So yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, the movie could have done way better. But for now, it's fun. It's definitely fun. Definitely check it out if it's around in theaters. It's worth a watch.
It's not playing. It's playing at the major theaters around here. It's playing at the Broadway. If you're watching this in Utah, at least, it's playing at the Broadway. Out at Jordan Commons at Sandy, the Megaplex out there. The Gateway it's playing at. There's a few theaters. And I would say definitely check it out, because the next few weeks are not looking very good in terms of movie releases.
Yeah, I can't think of any other movies than Guardians 2.
Yeah, and Guardians 2 comes out not this Friday, but the next Friday. Next Friday. I know. I'm so fucking excited for that movie.
Oh,